let us start recording as well. And okay, new game, new Dear Pioneer. You're on the verge of wondrous discoveries. Those of the most wonderful place in the world, our favorite camp Sovionok, have opened before you. You'll remember this session for the rest of your life. Welcome. Is there voice acting actually? I hope that there's voice acting. That would be save my voice quite a bit. I was having that dream once again. That dream. Same thing every night. But it's all forgotten in the morning as usual. Maybe it's for the best. Only a glimpse of memory will remain of Gates half. Nope, there is not. Gotta love it. Half opened as if inviting me somewhere, with two frozen stone pioneers standing close by. And also that strange girl who keeps asking me. Will you come with me? Come? But where? And why? And where am I anyways? Anyway, of course it all happened in real life. If it all happened in real life, I would certainly have been scared. Well, what else would one expect to feel? But this is just a dream. The same one I see every night. There must be a reason. You don't have to know where or why to realize. Something is really happening. Something desperately seeking my attention. Since everything that surrounds me here is real. As real as things in my own flat, I could open the gates, hear the hinges creak, brush the crumbling rust away with my hand, inhale the fresh cool air and shiver from the cold. I could, but to do that, I would need to pick myself up, take a step, move my hand. But this is a dream, I understand that. But what of it? What does my understanding change? Because here it's just like on the other side of the cracked screen of an old TV, which struggles. By the way, this is really made by Russians. Huh, cool. What does this button do? I want bigger font so I can actually read it easier. Surprisingly enough. I made this the screen a little bit smaller so I can read the chat at the same time. Which struggles to fight against static noise and strives to show its audience everything without missing a single detail. But the picture is getting blurry. I must be waking up soon. ... Maybe I should ask her something. The girl. What's her name? About the stars, for instance. Why the stars, though? I'd rather ask about the gates. Yes, the gates. She would be so surprised. Or better, why the dot over an I was called tittle, but the dot over a J was called a superscript dot. Nice letters, as if they don't exist anymore. Still, what do letters, gates and stars have to do with this place? Because even if I'm having this dream every night, which will be forgotten soon anyway, I've got to look for answers here and now. And there, if you look carefully, you can see the Magellanic Cloud. Magellanic Clouds? As if I'd ended up in the southern hemisphere. ... In a dream, there are small things that catch your attention, an unnatural color of grass, impossible curves of a straight line, or your own distorted reflection, while the real danger, which could put an end to everything right here and now, seems trivial. It's natural since here you cannot die. I know it for sure, I've done it hundreds of times, but if you cannot die, is there a point in living? I should ask the girl, she's local, she should know. Yes, exactly. I should ask her about the owl, for example. One strange bird it is. Though it doesn't matter. Well. Starts off with a lot of random thoughts at the very least. That's something. Will you come with me? And every time I have to answer, it's the only way, otherwise the dream will never end, and I will never wake up. First choice. First choice. And we're already saves coming. I wanna see. No, I'll stay here. Okay. Every time it's so hard to decide on the answer. If it's going to be long, then geez, we're gonna be here for a long while. I hope it's not as long as the final chapter of Higurashi chapter 1. Here, where am I? What am I doing here? Who is she? And why does so much in my life depend on this answer? Or maybe it doesn't. It's just a dream after all. Just a dream. Okay. Maybe I should have read the synopsis for that game. Or the description in Steam. Oh, look at that, 4chan. Good old 4chan. And the computer screen stared at me as if it was alive. Sometimes it really did seem to me that it was conscious of itself. Better off having no idea what's going on. Well, that's good, because I have no clue what's going on, so that's fun. Of course I know 4chan. I mean, not that I've been there or something. Sometimes it really did seem like to me that it was conscious of itself, had its own thoughts and wishes, ambitions, that it had feelings, could love and suffer. As if in our relationship the screen wasn't an instrument. It was me who was a lifeless piece of plastic and textolite. There is some truth in that, probably because the computer provides 90% of my communication with the outside world. Hey, that sounds familiar. Oh dear lord, that sounds familiar. Oh god, what am I doing with my life? Well, fortunately, school will be starting soon, so there will be something else going on as well. Anonymous image boards, some chats from time to time, rarely ICQ and Jabber, and forums even more rarely. Oh, so just a natural lurker. People on the other end of the internet cable simply do not exist. All of them are simply creations of its sick imagination. Only mere 90%. 5-hour-long prologue. Holy hell. That sounds excessive. Simply creations of its sick imagination, an error in the source code or a kernel bug, which started living a life of its own. If one looked at my existence from the outside, such thoughts would seem crazy, and psychologists would surely give me a bunch of sophisticated diagnoses, and maybe write me a doctor's referral to the loony bin. Hey, that also sounds familiar. I mean, what? A small apartment with no signs of repair or any semblance of order in it, and always the same view out of the window on the great megalopolis running somewhere day and night. Such are the conditions of my life. Well, fortunately I live in Finland, so there's no megalopolis around here. Well, of course it didn't all start like this. I was born, went to school and finished it, like all the others. I was accepted at a university where I spent a year and a half trailing behind and struggling. Not every person, I'd imagine. Hopefully. I want to keep some hold for the humanity still. I drifted through several jobs. Sometimes it was working out quite well, sometimes I was even getting decent money for it. But it all felt like it was not mine, as if it taken from another man's biography. I wasn't living life to its fullest. I was looping over and over in monotonous circles, like in the movie Groundhog Day. It's just that I had no choice in how to spend my day, and every day repeated itself, the same vicious spiral. A spiral of emptiness, misery, and despair. For the last few years I just sat in front of the screen all day. Sometimes there were menial jobs, sometimes my parents helped me. All in all, I was able to provide for myself. No wonder really, since my needs are quite minor. I hardly ever leave my home, and my communication with other people almost exclusively consists of online correspondence with the anonymous, who have no real name, no gender, no age. So in brief, quite typical life of quite typical antisocial person of his time. Kind of Donnie Darko on a minor scale without doomsday-related visions. Maybe some highly respected author will write a novel about me. Oh, what a coinkydunk. Maybe some highly respected author will write... By the way, author will write a novel about me, and it will become a contemporary classic of modern literature. Or I will write one myself. However, what's the point of fooling myself? I tried many times but couldn't even come up with a simple short story. I tried to learn many other things as well. Not gifted enough to draw, programming got bored, foreign languages takes too much time. The only thing I loved doing was reading, but I still never would have called myself a scholar. Perhaps I was an ace at watching anime and grandmaster of lame internet jokes. Very relatable, to say the least. If I were to get paid for it, I would probably be a happier person, and richer person too, lol. But I doubt it would fill the hole inside me. You can just stick your finger in that hole, and I mean... Very relatable. Today was another typical day of a typical failures, typical life. And today is the day when I have to go to my university reunion. Frankly speaking, I really didn't want to. What is the point? The time I spent with them was so short. However, I was persuaded by a friend, my former university mate and one of the few with whom I kept in touch other than through the internet. Hey. That looked weird. A frosty evening. Bus stop. Waiting. Never liked winter. Though hot summer is not my season either. It's just that I see no reason to point out any particular time of year. It doesn't matter much what the weather outside is when you stay at home 24/7. The bus today was running so late that I was about to curse it all and spend my last few hundred rubles for a taxi. Alright, this is... this is, Russian made. Rubles for a taxi. The idea of just returning home didn't cross my mind for some reason. As usual, millions of thoughts flew through my mind, but there was not a single useful one to seize on. Such a thought that you could bring into existence, give it shape, turn into an idea, and put it into practice. Maybe I could start my own business. But where would I get the money from? Or maybe I could go back to working in an office. No way. Maybe I should try freelancing. But what skills do I have, and who would want me after all? That is indeed quite the dilemma. Fortunately, I don't have to relate to that. I have some skills that are marketable. Not very marketable, but marketable nonetheless. Oh, by the way, I should probably do this. Yes. If you don't have air conditioning, it's like it's hellishly hot in here. Not actually currently, but because it's been raining for a couple of days. But yeah, about weather can be hell. I suddenly remembered my childhood, or rather my teen years, the time when I was 15 to 17 years old. But why exactly those years? No idea. I guess it's because back then everything was much more simple. It was easier to make decisions, so complicated now and so simple then. Yes, for the price that I paid for it, it sure will be worth it. I believe so. It will be, at the very least, it starts out very relatable, so it will be rather interesting to see how this continues. I think we will have 2 visual novels in our schedule from now on, which will be this and Higurashi, however long Higurashi takes me, so. Waking up in the morning, wake up this morning. I knew exactly how my day was going to pass, and I always eagerly looked forward to the weekend. Then I could get some rest and have time for things I liked: computer, football, going out with friends. And then at the beginning of the next week, I'd take up my studies again. Back then there were no such worrying questions like why, who needs it, what will change if I do it, or what will not change. Simple lifestyle, so casual for any normal person and so odd to myself today. That careless childhood age. It was also then that I met my first love. Her appearance and personality have vanished from my memory. Only her name remains, like a brief line from a social network profile. In Soviet Russia. Novel, please you. Along with the feelings which overwhelmed me when I was with her. Affection, tenderness, the desire to care for her and to protect her. Sadly, it didn't last long. Today I can hardly imagine something like that happening. I would probably like to meet a girl, but I don't know how to start a conversation, what on earth to discuss, and how to attract her. Well, like I said, relatable. Very relatable. Well, I haven't met any suitable girls for a long time, but where could I meet one anyway? The sound of an engine brought me back to reality. A bus pulled over, and there was something abnormal about it, though. Then again, it doesn't matter. Only the 410 runs this route. 410 runs this. Whatever. At least the imagery is pretty good. At the very least, like, the images change quite a lot, so that's nice. I mean, I have forgotten about my first love, although that was like, she's 10 years ago. I have forgotten about my first relationship as well, so, you know. Streetlights pass me by. It's as if their cold light sparks inside me, trying to ignite feelings long dead. Or maybe not ignite, just awaken them. Because those feelings, they have been living in me for a long time, slumbering and waking up again. The driver's radio was playing some very familiar tune, but I wasn't listening to it. I was watching the cars passing by through the fogged up window. Because people are always rushing somewhere, chasing something they need, stuck in their own little worlds. Why would they care about mine? They probably have their own serious problems, or maybe they have much easier lives. You can't know for sure, since all people are different. Or are they? Sometimes someone's actions can easily be predicted, but if you try to look inside his soul, you will only see impenetrable darkness. ... The bus was approaching downtown and my thoughts were interrupted by the bright city lights. Hundreds of billboards, thousands of cars, millions of people. I watched this light show and I somehow got very terribly sleepy. My eyes closed just for a moment and then... I was at the gates again. Oh, an actual opening! Shock horror! I was not expecting this. This is already worth the price of admission. Yeah, the music is pretty good. It's a nice tune you can chill out to, I'd say. Hey, come on, at the very least there is animation. That's better than, like, a lot of things. Okay. Oh, that's gonna have to be censored. I think that's gonna have to be censored as well. There's a lot of things that might have to be censored in this game. Jeez. Yeah, I can imagine them being quite good for desktop wallpapers. They are certainly quite lovely. Day 1. Was that the prologue? That's not a long prologue at all. Huh? Well, this is all quite weird. Oh. Well, that was quite a short prologue, actually. Rather short. Only like 20 minutes long. Bright daylight struck my eyes. At first I didn't pay attention as I wasn't fully awake yet. On their own my legs carried me towards the door. Damn, looks like I fell asleep and missed my stop. But there was no door. I looked around the bus and realized that it wasn't good old worn out Lias. Instead the bus was an Icarus model, a new one. I froze in shock. Huh. Yeah, that would make sense. That makes sense. I froze in shock. How? What? Am I dead? Have I been kidnapped? No, I must be dead. I patted myself down feverishly, slapped myself painfully in the face a few times, banged my forehead on the back of one of the bus seats. It's clear, either I'm still alive or you can still feel pain when you're dead. But how could this happen? How could this happen? Maybe I slept for too long and ended up at the bus depot? Then what? Did they put me onto another bus? I rushed out and took a look around. Greenery wherever I looked, tall grass on the roadside, trees, flowers. Summer! But how? It was winter just a moment ago. My head was aching unbearably, as if it was going to explode. Slowly I began to remember. There's a lot of different pictures. The pictures are really quite nice, so it's pretty good. Pretty good. A long road running off into the distance. Forest, plains, fields, lakes and forests again. I think I was sleeping, but then how can I remember all of it? And then, a gap. Some girl leaning over me. She softly whispered something into my ear. Then a gap again. And then I woke up here. Who was that strange girl? Or was she just a dream? For some reason thinking about her made me feel better and calmed me down a little. I felt warmth all over, coming from the inside. Could it be her who brought me here? Then I need to find her. And the best place to look for her is away from here. I rushed to the left, then to the right, then stopped, hesitating over where to go. Finally, I ran in the direction from which the bus had probably came. Physical exercise does refresh one's mind. Thoughts become clearer and it gets a little easier to evaluate the surrounding reality. Not in my case, however. I was sitting on the roadside, wheezing and trying to ease my sore throat by gulping breaths of hot air. That'd be pretty hilarious, just putting someone on another bus, just like, lol, I'm scared this guy, I'm scared this guy, like, senseless, just put him in a random bus. In any case, the run did its job. The fear withdrew for a while. Maybe I really am just dreaming. Though recalling my self-harm on the bus, I immediately rejected the idea. I am neither dreaming nor dead. That a narrow road ran through the field and far into the distance. That exact same road from my dream. I must be very far away from home. And it's not just that it was winter yesterday and it's summer now. It's the whole environment. Of course, summer is usually like this, green and hot, but here everything is not entirely lifelike. Everything looked like if it... Why am I getting tongue-tied so easily? Everything looks like it was taken from the paintings of Russian landscape artists of the 19th century. The grass is just too lush. The bushes are not like what bushes should be. Bushes. They are so thick that you can't see anything through them, like treetops, honestly. And the trees themselves. The forest was quite far away, but the trees looked as if they had closed their ranks and were now just waiting for the order to advance onto the fields and plains. I caught my breath and looked at the bus, which was now barely visible. That was a good run. Fear overtook me once again. Those power lines. There must be people here. But what does it mean? In fact, that means nothing at all. Couldn't they have power lines even in hell? Roasting sinners over hot coals? That's so last century. I must have reached the point of no return, after which you should either lose your mind completely or finally try to understand what is going on. And while I still have a choice, I should pick the second option. No, I think going insane sounds fun. Like a lot of fun. Yeah, it sure sounds like fun to go crazy. I slowly headed back to the bus. Of course it was scary. But I'm not likely to find an answer in the fields or the woods, and this wretched bucket of bolts is the only kind of link that I have with the real world. Real world. Savuarudo. I should carefully scout the area. Sovnyok means outlet. Okay. A brick wall and its gates crowned with the Sovnyok sign. Statues of pioneers standing on either side and a road sign nearby showing the bus route number 410. The trip's taking a bit too long today. I smirked. A person may start acting inappropriately in extreme situations. Something like this is probably happening to me now. This place didn't look abandoned at all. No rust on the gates, no damage to the walls. Sovyanok. What could have a name like that? Judging by the pioneer statues, it could be a kid's summer camp. Moreover, it appears to be open. Of course, the simplest explanation, logically speaking, explains nothing at all. The strange girl altered the bus, summer, and the pioneer camp. Thousands of theories went through my mind instantly, from alien abduction to lethargic sleep, from a hallucination to a time and space shift. None was worse than any other, but there was really no way to pick a single one. Then it occurred to me, I can try to make a phone call. I took out my cell phone and dialed the first number from my contact list. but instead of single strength bars, the screen was showing us the thick cross. Alright, there may be no signal in such a remote place. Although I cannot be the only one who came here. Buses don't drive themselves. I examined the bus from all sides to make sure that it wasn't a hallucination. Bits of dirt on the bottom, some rust here and there, faded paint and worn out tires. No, this is definitely a very ordinary Icarus. Yeah, exactly the kind of bus which takes you to places beyond your understanding if you carelessly fall asleep. I gave a nervous chuckle. It came out by itself, sporadically. Because this wasn't the right place or time to laugh. But where on earth is the driver? I cautiously sat down on the curb beside the bus and started to wait. My patience didn't last long. My anxiety seemed to have reached its peak, and I started to go slightly mad. In such a situation, anyone would have probably felt something similar. Aliens and parallel universes were gone from my imagination, leaving only void and darkness. Is this how everything will end? How my life will end? But I wanted to do so much, there were so many things that I had no time for yet. I was overwhelmed by the idea. This was definitely the end. But why? It's not fair. Surely I'm no worse than anyone else? God, why? Tears were burning my eyes unbearably. I curled up and started rolling in the grass. Why? What did I do? Why me? But my cries were only heard by the speechless statues of the pioneers and a bird on a tree, which immediately flapped its wings and took off, crying out something in its own bird language, as if laughing at the idiot who dared to interrupt its after-dinner nap. I was left breathless from weeping and just lay quietly, sobbing occasionally. After a while I managed to pull myself together. My mind cleared up a bit, as if terror and the fear of death gave me a little break. All in all, if someone wanted to kill me, what is all this for? It doesn't look like an experiment either. If this is just some crazy coincidence, then there's probably no threat. Anyway, for now it seems there's no danger. The panic was soon gone. Of course the blood was still pounding in my temples and my hands were still shaking, but at least I could think clearly now. Right now. There is nothing I can really change anyway. So no matter how much I think or how mad I get, it would only make things worse. Until some actual facts appear, there is really no point in making guesses. In any case, I won't learn anything by lounging about here. This camp, of course, is really a camp, looked like the only place where people could be, so I decided to go there, and hardly had I reached the gates when a girl came out from behind them, wearing a pioneer uniform. My logic didn't let me down this time. Then again, a pioneer uniform in the 21st century. Then again, a girl here. I froze, unable to take a step. I felt very much like running away. Running as far as I could from this place, far from this bus, gates, statues, and far from this bloody bird with its siesta. Just running, free like the wind, faster and faster, waving to the planets passing by, winking at the galaxies. Running, becoming a pulsar ray, and turning into vestigial radiation, running to face the unknown. Run no matter where, as long as it is far away from this. Meanwhile, the girl came closer and smiled. I could not help but notice her beauty, even though I was trembling with fear. Human instincts work independent of consciousness, and while only 5% of the brain is responsible for cognitive processes, the remaining 95% are always busy sustaining life, and in particular ensuring stable functioning of the hormonal system. I desperately wanted to guess less complicated and stop thinking in formal quotes from encyclopedia, though my thoughts appeared one by one, being stupid, out of place, and as if taken from an internal monologue of the hero of some junky softcover crime fiction book. A pretty Slavic face, long braids that looked like 2 armfuls of fresh hay, and blue eyes you could drown in. Hi, you must have just arrived. Okay. I doubt that this is an important choice, but just in case. Prologue is not over. Reply. Yeah. Alright then, welcome. Trembling in the presence of a girl. It's a girl, an actual girl. My god, haven't seen one of those in years. Okay, so it's now actually over. So that actually has some importance. Thanks for spoiling me. But if that's actually the intro, then I think we could actually end here as well. So, not end the stream, but end the part because I want to spare some of my voice, and more importantly, I want to spare my eyes because reading actually is more exhausting for the eyes for some reason. Jeez. But we'll continue this in the next stream. It has been quite fun.